Hi, my name is Jasmine Gorss, and today I'm going to be discussing assessing students. I'm going to be discussing the process of assessment and some of the various areas in which students are assessed. These areas including language assessments, behavioral and perceptual and physical assessments, assessments of intelligence, and assessment of academic performance. The basic process of assessing is the same in the various areas. You first want to figure out why you are assessing a student or the purpose of assessment. You then will use the purpose to find out what kind of exam you will be using and how you are going to administer the assessment. You will then administer the assessment and finally interpret the results. Assessment is used to figure out whether a student will need special education services or in the classroom to find out whether an approach that a teacher is using is working. Assessing intelligence is very controversial. Though the definition of intelligence is a general concept of an individual's ability to function within various settings, experts don't always agree on the definition or the fairness of assessment. With that being said, testing for intelligence using the various kinds of assessments, including the primary scale, which is for ages 2 to 6, the children's scale, which is from ages 6 through 16, and the adult intelligence scale, which is from 16 through adulthood. These assessments are used to find the IQ, or the intelligence quotient, which is calculated using the chronological age and the mental age of a student. When assessing intelligence, it is very important to understand what intelligence is, what it isn't, understanding what is being measured, and what the measurements represent. Assessing for intelligence is used to indicate strengths and weaknesses and can inform educational planning, goals, and strategies. It is also important to note that when assessing intelligence in a general education setting, it can be assessed using group assessments or individual assessments. However, when testing intelligence in a special education setting, the exam should only be individualized. Another area that is assessed is academic performance. Academic performance is an important indicator of the learning process. These tests are actual results of a student's gains and products of experiences. Achievement tests are used to measure what a student has learned. These tests could be in many areas, such as reading, math, science, and spelling, or it can be just one specified area, such as math. Screening tests are used to determine a student's strengths and weaknesses, and diagnostic exams are used to measure a specific ability. These exams can be formal or informal. Formal tests include PARCC testing or SAT testing, and informal exams are teacher-made exams or student work to show the student's progress throughout the year. Another area that is assessed is perceptual functioning. Assessing perceptual functioning is assessing the perceptual reasoning and the perceptual speed. The Woodcock-Johnson of Cognitive Abilities test is used to determine perceptual speed, and visual puzzles and figure weights can assess perceptual reasoning without requiring the use of fine motor skills. Physical development, such as fine motor, gross motor, hearing, and vision testing, are also assessed. These things are assessed to determine whether a student will need extra services, such as OT or occupational therapy, including working on the fine motor skills, or physical therapy, or also known as PT, to work on gross motor skills. Also, a student may need extra services if they have hearing or vision loss. Behavior is also something that is assessed within the school setting. Behavior is assessed using a functional behavior assessment, or also known as an FBA, to create a behavior interventional plan, also known as a BIP. These assessments can include direct observation, event recording, checklists, interviews, or anecdotal recording. Behavior intervention plans are created to help students become more productive within a school setting. These plans are used to allow the teachers to help the students gain control of their behaviors and language assessments assess the verbal concepts and verbal understanding. They test for receptive, written, and expressive language. Some of the assessments include Peabody Picture Vocabulary Test 4, which tests for verbal comprehension, or the Expressive Vocabulary Test 2, which tests for expressive skills. These are used to determine whether a student will need speech therapy or other special related services to help the student succeed in a school setting. Lastly, social emotional functioning is something else that is assessed within the school setting. Social emotional functioning to determine whether a student has emotional disturbance and whether they are eligible for special education services. Some of the tools are very specific to emotional social development, while others are very broad and just include social emotional concepts. Standardized assessments are used, as well as transdisciplinary play, which assesses a child's skills, including social emotional competence. When assessing for social emotional functioning, an educator wants to choose an assessment based on the reasoning for screening, whether it is to identify whether a child may need more evaluation, to determine eligibility for special education services, to individualize a child or family plan, to inform instruction or to help a teacher help a student more, to monitor progress for a student, or to evaluate a program's effectiveness. Assessing students is a major key in the career of an educator. It is important for educators to understand the process of assessment, as well as understanding why and how we assess various areas in a child's life. Thank you for watching.